Hello and welcome to a Paladin's Impressions, where I take a look at games I just don't have time to review right now. Today we're taking a look at Darksiders, Warmastered Edition. It's been 3 years since I last played this game. Regardless of what I'm going to say about this game as it is right now, I am pretty impressed that developers are still willing to come back to their games and sort of fix the problems with them that they had originally. Still, to say that this is a bit oversold is a bit of an understatement. Warmastered Edition can basically be summed up to this is a graphical update. There's a few other tweaks and fixes to sort of iron out any bugs with the port, but that's about it. It adds support for modern PCs and doubles the graphic quality, or the texture resolution, I should say. Other than that, it also adds a graphics option menu that the original game didn't have because it was very Xboxy. This actually feels like a full PC game rather than just a console port. But does it deserve a whole new edition? Does it deserve a whole new price tag? No, and I think they knew that. So as such, you probably got this for free if you own the original edition. Is it worth buying if you own the original edition and didn't get a copy of this for free for whatever reason? No. Not unless you really want the graphical fidelity to increase. So, hopefully you got it for free. If you didn't, don't buy it. That's my first impression of just for existing owners. For those who are thinking of coming back to the game, well, let's talk about it. Darksiders is a story about War, one of the four horsemen of mythology, who is supposed to come at the end times and judge those from both heaven and hell. In this story, however, somebody started the end of the world before it was supposed to happen, and the guilt is placed squarely on War's shoulders, because his other horsemen brethren did not show up. And unfortunately, the consequences of that action are that humans are dead. So, he is tasked with finding out who did it and why, and to ultimately kill those responsible for starting the apocalypse. The game is basically a hack and slash RPG third-person brawler, to use a lot of different genre terms to kind of make sense of it. It has elements of spectacle fighting, it has elements of RPGs, and it has elements of platforming, and they all kind of mix together. It's more or less a directed experience, but it does allow for quite a bit of exploration. So it kind of straddles several different genre lines that are a bit weird, especially nowadays. You take control of War with his power completely decreased. Like, you start out the game kind of really badass, but you are removed of all your powers because, well, the council that deployed you took away your strength. How cheap of them. So you have to get your powers back by talking with another demon from the underworld who is willing to increase your capabilities at the cost of souls. Souls are your currency in this game. There's health souls, there's just regular currency souls, and there's energy souls, if I remember correctly. Anyway, the non-important fact to that is you collect a lot of souls in this game. It's the currency, it's a lot of the rewards in this game for doing exploration or achieving tasks. Now, I put in a couple of hours into the Warmastered edition just to kind of get a feel for the game, to remind myself of the game. It is an improvement, but I kind of feel like the game has not aged very well. The combat feels very stiff, very formulaic. We've simply had better hack and slashers come out in the past couple of years. Everything from Dark Souls to Metal Gear Solid, or Metal Gear Rising, I should say, Revengeance to Dust and Blazing Tail. We've had so many other games come out since then that really make this game seem limited. A lot of your combat is going to be take a couple slashes, maybe pull off a combo move, and then dash to avoid whatever's coming in your way. But the dashing feels so very stiff, so very restricted, that you get hit by a lot of attacks you feel like you shouldn't, or at least I felt like I shouldn't have been hit by. And it's also very, very dull. It takes a long time for combos to get unlocked, and until you get to really interesting combos, you're using the same sort of slash, slash, slash attack, and just doing it over and over and over again. This game also has a lot of executions, which it is very, very fond of. And boy, do they get overplayed to the point that you just attack them with combo moves just to break up the flow. There's a particular enemy in this game that is killed just by jumping and pressing the B button, which is the execute button. And it does the same animation. It does it over and over and over again. It likes to do it over and over again. It likes to show off that it can do these executions. And boy, that just drags it down and makes it so boring. The exploration is, it's okay. I'm not going to say it's fantastic because, again, these levels are very small, and you just go off the beaten trail a little bit, you get a reward, woohoo. And it's usually souls. Maybe you get an item, but souls is mostly what you find. Which isn't to say that's a bad reward, it's just the same thing over and over again. A lot of what this game likes to do is put you in challenge rooms where you have to kill beasts in a certain amount of times or a certain amount of ways. It changes things a little bit, but again, the problem is that I've actually remembered what the original was like, so to replay these sections over again just felt like doing more of the same. It wasn't very interesting. It was just doing the same thing over again. That's the problem. Darksiders, as I said before, it has not aged well. I mean, I'll give them kudos for at least updating the graphics and updating the cutscenes so they didn't look like Xbox scenes. But I really wish they'd gone over the combat system and really updated it to kind of take in modern mechanics now, because boy, does this game remind me a lot of when that game originally came out. When Darksiders came out, AAA was very cutscene heavy, it was very cinematic heavy, it was very formulaic in this way that is only best described by Darksiders and games in that genre. So, in regards, it's actually kind of a bit historic because you can take a look back and see, yeah, this is how AAA companies thought games should be developed. And boy, does it suffer hard for that. As I said, the pacing just takes forever to get going. The combat feels very tired and very run-of-the-mill. The story is more or less a mystery as you're trying to figure out who did it, and trying to get to the boss and going through these sort of dungeons that are very Zelda-like. There's a lot of platform, there's a lot of puzzle solving, that sort of thing. It's the main reason this game got a reputation as a dark Legend of Zelda. To be frank, I feel like the people who said that didn't actually play Legend of Zelda. I'm not gonna lie. I get kind of testy when people say, oh, this is the Legend of Zelda version on PC. And that especially was given to Darksiders 2. I haven't played Darksiders 2, so I have no comment on it. But as far as like this game is concerned, this is not Legend of Zelda. It doesn't have the right pacing. It doesn't have the right style of combat. I mean, the dungeons are more or less similar, but the game is not nearly as open as Legend of Zelda was. In fact, it's far more restrictive in that regard. And the characters are really kind of one-dimensional, or two-dimensional, I should say. War is more or less a grumbling, meathead, kill-everything guy. There isn't a ton of depth to him. And as far as I remember from the story, his character isn't really expanded upon. He's just kill everything and questions later. The rest of the characters, I mean, like the creepy shopkeeper, he doesn't really get much of a backstory. He doesn't really get much of a character arc. The demon that controls War doesn't get much. I mean, it's more about the theme and less about interesting character arcs, at least from what I played of it. Is it worth getting? Not really. I'm going to say no. I feel like Darksiders has aged very poorly. It is a symptom of what AAA design was at the time. The combat has been... There are better combat systems nowadays. The story isn't much to write home about. A lot of this sort of grand cinematicness of it is way outshadowed nowadays by better games that came out since then, both in the indie and the AAA space. There's nothing particularly wrong with it. That's my only caveat to it. So, if you're interested in it, sure, it's going to work. Mechanically, graphically, game-wise, it'll work. I just feel like there's better games on the market right now. Darksiders has outlived its time. And it's curious to see the developer come back and give it an update. I'm not going to say they're in the wrong. I just wish they had done more than just slap a new fresh coat of paint on it. I wish they had maybe tightened up some of the story, maybe tightened up the combat to be a little more flowing. As it is, it doesn't get there. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Darksiders Warmastered Edition. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please feel free to leave a comment. And until next time, I've been KingIsaacLinksr. Talk to you later. Some post-recording thoughts. A few other things that kind of irritate me about this game. One, it likes to throw a lot of pop-ups in your face to explain every single item that you've picked up. Very annoying. Second thing... do I even want to talk about this? I mean, I get where it kind of feels like a Zelda, just with all the puzzles and basics of everything, but just, I don't know. Also, I don't think if I mentioned this before, but this game loves cutscenes a lot. Like, every chance it gets to take the control out of the player's hands, it will do it. There, I think that's all my thoughts on this game. Oh, and I guess the graphics are okay. Certainly, they are improved with the patch. The style it's so-so. I don't hate it. I don't love it. Music is pretty good. At least it fits the theme, at least. Other than that, I don't really have anything to say about its artistic design. So, I swear that's all my thoughts on Darksiders. Yeah.